Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for coming tonight. It is Tuesday, October 7th, 2025. This is a workshop we're having this evening. If you are listening, you can join obviously through Microsoft Teams. And what we're going to do is, if you want to call in, it's 469-708-0487, and the meeting ID is 349-497-122#. I'm going to start with a roll call. I'll start all the way to my right. Ken.
Present.
Vince.
Present.
Ann.
Present.
Charity.
Present.
And Mike Johnson, I'm present as well. Thank you all for attending this afternoon or this evening. The workshop, Mike's going to explain it in a second. If there's time at the end, we are going to allow comment, okay? 3 minutes. It's going to be a hard stop at 3 minutes. We're going to stop 15 minutes before 7, regardless. Because we have a town council workshop at 7. But if we have time, we're going to try to allow as much public comment as we can. Okay? All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll quickly turn it over to Keith Richards from representing the developer this evening. They have proposed to the town the Crystal Lakes Estates contract zone. I believe the town has considered this in the past, but this is a different proposal that this organization has put forth. And as staff, we wanted to get this before the council as soon as possible to have the council provide staff with guidance on how you would like us to move forward with this proposal going forward. Ultimately, the request for a contract zone is a legislative approval that the town council has the authority to approve such legislation. And so if they want to move forward with potential legislation to do that, they can. If the council chooses not to, that option is available to the town council as well. So towards the end of the workshop, we'll be looking for guidance from the town council on next steps that you'd like staff to proceed with. Otherwise, I'll turn it over to Keith Richards, representing the developer, to introduce himself and the project.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Town Manager. Good evening, members of the council. My name is Keith Richard. I'm an attorney at a firm called Archipelago in Portland. We specialize in land use and municipal law, and I'm here on behalf of Crystal Lake Estates, LLC. This is a proposal that we believe will bring some long-term value to the town of Gray while advancing the goals that are set out in your comprehensive plan. The Crystal Lakes Estates proposal has been under, or at least this concept of a project has been under discussion with the town for a long time. And I want to say that a lot of work has gone in behind the scenes in order to bring this up to par and to present this to you tonight. I believe that the original proposals that were discussed some time ago have been worked on and improved. What we're presenting now, I believe, is a project that's more efficient, more community-oriented, and more consistent with your planning vision and some of the housing goals that we face. I would note that we're still in the concept phase, so we've submitted a letter. It has details about the project. I want to emphasize that those are conceptual, and that any aspect of the project, when put before your planning board, would undergo rigorous review by the town and to meet all standards, and also any state or federal permitting required. We're excited to have this opportunity to address you tonight. The Crystal Lake Estates project is a residential project. It's going to be a 55+ age-restricted community. It will be situated off of North Raymond Road. We are proposing a total of 600 units that will be consolidated across 3 phases as opposed to the prior 6. And we have redesigned the project into cluster neighborhoods separated by preserved woodlands in a manner that we think is more consistent with a rural character, preserves a lot of the recreational opportunities in the area. And I think if you see the renderings, you'll see what I'm talking about. As I mentioned, there's a trail system. It's existing. We're going to preserve it. There's going to be a trail system of over 3.5 miles, all of which will be open to residents, not only residents, but to members of the public to continue to use. We're proposing a picnic area and public parking to improve access to the trail. There will be numerous community amenities for the residents, from a fitness center, a social hall, gardens, outdoor recreation, pickleball, shuffleboard. The homes that we're proposing are anywhere between 600 and 2,000 square feet in size. And they are designed and intended to be designed for older residents in the style of living that they require, and for people that want to remain living independently in the town of Gray. Mr. Foley, I don't know if you can pull up any of the, so I've got the plan. Do you have any of the renderings?
Yep, I have those, yeah.
Very good. So we've had an artist work up some conceptual renderings using 3D imagery. This is like a bird's eye view of some of the development. You can see Crystal Lake in the background. Further in the distance, we can keep going. This gets a little bit closer. We keep going. Thank you. Keep going. So as I said, this is cluster style, and the intent would be to preserve much of the area as woodlands. There are going to be conservation easements placed over the areas that are not proposed to be developed. You can keep going. And this gives you an idea of some of the layout of the homes and how they'll be situated. As I said, most of the land will be undeveloped and will be placed permanently into conservation. And in the year 2025, this is what rural development may look like based on the current demands for housing and some of the state policies that are coming down the pike, which I'll discuss in a little more detail in a moment. We think this project has substantial town benefits to the town. And this council should rightly be focused on whether this is a viable project, whether it's sustainable, whether it's truly beneficial to the town of Gray. Here are some of the highlights. First, tax revenue. At full build-out, we estimate that Crystal Lake Estates will generate more than $2.1 million annually in property tax revenue. And with the age restriction, there will be little or no burden on schools or other town services. Second, direct contributions to the town. In addition to impact fees that we would be paying, the project will pay $500 per lot at sale dedicated to local improvements. That could be used towards Crystal Lake's water quality. It could be used towards trail maintenance, land conservation. Third, and I touched on this, public access and easements. Approximately 50% of the project area will be under a public easement. There will be conservation lands, there will be dedicated timber rights that the town could use, connecting trails that already exist, so that that public access is not impeded at all by the development. And all those things benefit the town and its residents. The fourth item, water resources. Crystal Lakes is proposing to donate land to the Gray Water District for a new well site, and that will strengthen the public water supply and available water. There's a deep water well available, and I think that would be a great resource to tap. Finally, number 5, connectivity. This design allows for there to be future emergency access via Libby Hill Road to address some safety concerns that were discussed earlier in the process. Next, I want to touch on the comprehensive plan. The town last updated your comprehensive plan in the year 2020. It identified 3 priorities that I can glean. First, the safe movement of people through the town, including walking and biking. Number 2, protection of the rural character and natural resources. And 3, investment in community programs in the village. Crystal Lake Estates supports all 3 of those goals. The project will build a trail network linked to Libby Hill, ensuring permanent public access. It will preserve large areas of open space, wetlands, and forests, maintaining Gray's rural identity. It introduces a senior population that will contribute to your tax base, support your local businesses, enrich your volunteer and community life, but will not burden services. And the importance of having housing for seniors is an item that is specifically called out in your comprehensive plan. That's something the town needs to plan for, given what we already know, just straight facts about the demographics about the town of Gray. This is the type of housing that's needed now, and it will be needed more into the future. We have an environmental commitment. There's no development that doesn't have an environmental impact, but if we are to provide housing that's accessible to average residents, there needs to be more houses built. It's a fact. We think that, and we intend to meet every environmental regulatory requirement and to exceed it in some areas. We will meet or exceed Maine DEP's Site Location and Development Act and all Chapter 500 stormwater standards, and would submit the project to independent review if the town wanted that. We will be sensitive to the areas, the wetlands, streams, and vernal pools. We have already begun the work identifying those, and those will be placed under protection. We will meet all regulatory standards, and there's going to be, I think the opportunity to discuss that in more detail would be when we're at the project permitting and review stage as opposed to this preliminary stage. And again, the DEP, any required DEP permits will be sought and obtained. And we're committed to showing that this development does meet all requirements. Another thing I wanted to touch on was legislation and the state policy context in which a housing project comes down the pike to the town. And I'm sure members of this council are aware the Maine legislature has set very ambitious targets if the state is to realize its housing goals that will help more Mainers realize the dream of home ownership. The number that's been put out there is 84,000 new homes by 2030. And that's all that's going to be required to catch up to what shortfalls we have in the housing market now. It's not going to solve the housing crisis problem we have. And because of this, the legislature is imposing requirements that would loosen density restrictions. So municipalities are going to have less authority to say that we are going to prohibit certain density of development with some of the legislation that has come down. And in next year, there's a bill that was passed that became law, LD 1829. It's going to require that 3 units per lot be allowed in all districts in a municipality, 4 units per lot in areas that are designated as growth areas. I think that's an important context to consider when a substantially similar proposal and other proposals like it will be coming before the town that may be different than the way projects were considered and approved in the past. So in short, this project we believe is legally viable. It's geographically appropriate, financially viable. It will be environmentally sound. It provides housing for a need, an aging population. It enhances Gray's trail system in your open space. It will generate significant revenue. And we believe it aligns with the town's vision for the year 2035 that's set out in your 2020 comprehensive plan. And we look forward to answering your questions. At this point, I would like to lateral over to Jamie Garland from Mainland, who's working on and has done some of the technical work and can speak to some more of the specifics of the project. If we could get that, Mr. Foley, if we could get the plan back up on the screen. Thank you.
While we're waiting for that, good evening. Jamie Garland with Mainland Development Consultants. A few additional items I just want to present on the plan that may come up as questions. Mainland has done a preliminary wetlands investigation through a high portion of this project to help balance this concept out. Through that process, we've identified a couple vernal pools. And you'll notice on the plan there's a big green area with a circle around it. And so our intent for this conceptual design is to actually just stay out of those areas as we've laid this out. Survey's also been done for majority of the lots as they've been added to the area so that we can really hone in on what this property looks like. The project, as stated before, will go through site location of development review, and so we're going to have to go through many hurdles with the state as well as the Army Corps of Engineers and DEP's NERPA program for wetland impacts as part of the project. Access has been planned out with reasonably wide access through here with 30-foot wide areas for roads that we can then put a road in, sidewalks. And I'll be here if there's any other conceptual concept questions for the project.
So, yeah, can I? Yeah, all right, so, yeah, I think the big question or the big concern for, I think, most of the people in the room is, we would love to be able to add, more senior development homes. The biggest issue is where it's located, right? If you drive down there any day at 4 o'clock, you're backed up to the turnpike now. You get to that section where you turn left to go towards the lake, and it's just a nightmare. And I don't know how we can put in 10 more homes, to be honest with you. You know, what is the plan for traffic? Because, you know, we cannot use the existing road system that we have today.
Sure, absolutely. It's a good question. We have a traffic engineer, Diane Morabito, that has already begun work on this, and we would do whatever study that needs to be done and any improvements. I mean, we need to, that's a question of data. Let's look at what does the traffic generation report say? What are the standards, the regulatory standards that we have to meet? And if the planning board feels that this doesn't meet those standards, then we're going to have a problem. But I think that that's a question that's for the permitting authority and for review, as opposed to whether the project even moves forward.
When is the study going to be available?
When would you like it to be available?
Well, I live on the North Raymond Road, and 26 corridor is a disaster. I can't even fathom. I mean, 600 units times 2 people, 2 cars, 1,200 cars. Are you going to put in, like, these people can't go to work in the morning at between 7 and 9? I mean, this road cannot handle this at all.
If this were a regular, not unrestricted development, and you had, I think that most of the residents that would reside here are not people that are going to be on the road during the times you're seeing the traffic, and we would.
I don't believe that
Living in different universe, yeah.
Okay, guys. Hey, please.
I didn't mean any offense by it.
Is each of the 3 phases like 200 units? Is that how it's phased, or are they different?
The numbers are in the letter, so it's not an even 200 per phase.
But they were also, it was unclear in the letter how that, I mean, it didn't track well, you know. So if you could, that was one of the questions I had as well.
Sure, it's on page 4, towards the bottom, project phasing number 2, and maybe the way that the table reads is not
Yeah,
clear.
the table was confusing.
Sherry, do you have any questions?
Well, let's get this one out for.
Hold on, he didn't answer Vinny's question.
So in Phase 1, approximately 155 units. Phase 2, 141, and then Phase 3 is the larger one with 304 units.
All right, cool. You said 304?
304.
Okay, thank you.
If it's okay with the rest of the council, I would kind of like Tammy and Kristen to get,
I-
Ann, do
I
you have
do
another
have-
question yet?
Yeah, I have actually a number of questions.
Okay, go for it.
And comments. Is there, you mentioned this is a 55-plus, is there going to be a prohibition against any children or any, living in the development?
I don't think that's been discussed or fleshed out, but if that were some sort of condition, that could be discussed at that time.
I mean, my point being that, there are people in their mid-50s and who still have children at home. And so I think it's, or grandchildren, right? They're raising their grandchildren. So, I mean, I think that's, so it's, the contention that there will be no impact on the school system seems maybe unresearched to me. I have a question on page 3 of the letter to the town manager. The end of the second paragraph under proposed project, there's a reference to construction on leased land. And I'm just curious kind of what model you're using for the leased land. Is that like a manufactured housing park kind of lease or a community land trust or what are you?
So my understanding is that it was for sale or lease, so meaning that there would be some units that could be owned by Crystal Lakes Estates LLC.
Okay, so there would be the lease of the units themselves and not the land underneath the units.
Correct. No,
Okay.
it wouldn't be the mobile or the manufactured
All right,
housing style.
that, it wasn't clear. Let's see, you had, you have a contention that there will be increased philanthropy and volunteerism, and I'm just wondering, is that going to be a requirement of unit sales?
No, it would be a nice thing, but we're not going to require that. Again, that's,
Nothing that you can guarantee, in other words.
I mean, if I make it to retirement age, that's like some decades ahead of me at this point. I think I would have more free time to do more for my community. I'd like to
Sure,
be able to do
and
that.
they may very well be doing that, but they might not necessarily be doing it on behalf of the town, right? They could sit on a nonprofit board or do trail work in northern Maine, I don't know. I have friends who are doing different things like that. So, I mean, I appreciate your acknowledging that retirees have value and that they could be active in volunteering, but I don't know that we can plan on or bank on them working on behalf of the town in the schools or on town committees and things like that. I mean, we certainly have seen an increase in retirees moving to Gray in the last 5 years or more, and not very many of them have shown up in town committees. But although there certainly have been some, and we love having them. I'm a huge supporter of conserved land and trails and trail networks. And so I think I really appreciate the work that went into the proposal to think about that, or to add that. But as my understanding is the town of Gray, I mean, I've spoken to my colleagues about this, is not in the land ownership business. It doesn't want to be a land trust. And I'm just curious if you've spoken to the Royal River Conservation Trust about owning the land that would be set aside for open space.
That conversation hasn't happened yet, but if the town were to decline, sure, there are other organizations that we would reach out to.
Okay. And how will public access to the trail system be guaranteed? I mean, you mentioned, you reference a gatehouse, and is that going to be, but there are also 2 entrances. Are there going to be 2 gatehouses staffed 24/7, or?
So in terms, I realize that might be confusing. So in terms of vehicular access, that's going to be restricted, but in terms of just general public access, that's the trails that are there are going to be, it's not, even though privately owned, we're not going to, and we'll not be able to restrict the public's use of the recreation there. In terms of the gatehouses, I'm not sure, or staffing, I can't answer that at this point.
Right. So I mean, it makes no difference to me because I'm not going to live there. But but I wouldn't. But you had mentioned that only residents of the community could use the roads to drive up to the picnic area, for example. Everybody else would have to walk it.
So I think at this point we're proposing that there would be handicap access for anyone in the public, and we would allow for any events, for special events, that there would be vehicular access to the picnic area by vehicle, but otherwise open by foot anytime.
Right. Okay. So I mean, I'm still confused because you also you at some point in the proposal you referenced providing passes to people at the gatehouse, and
that's what I'm talking about. So that's vehicular access.
Right. So, but if there's nobody there to provide a pass, I mean, how is it that you'll provide the pass, including to emergency vehicles, that you also referenced?
Right. So that certainly for emergency vehicles, the town would be in possession of whatever they needed to access.
Okay, so they wouldn't have to stop at the gatehouse and get a pass from the staff there?
Certainly not.
Okay, that is what your proposal says. But and let's see. I also appreciated the thought about connectivity to Libby Hill Road, but you may or may not be aware that the town received a couple years back a congressionally directed spending award that will provide the high school campus a secondary means of ingress and egress that doesn't exist now. But I think we've lasted this long with only one, Libby Hill Road. So I'm thinking that second one, which should be under construction within this coming year, will be sufficient for us. But that was a nice thought. I was not sure about the assumptions underpinning your assertions about the project ultimately providing 1/3 of the tax benefits to the town, it kind of looked like you assumed the mill rate would never change over the next 10 years, so I'm just sort of not clear on how that worked.
Yeah, again, it's just an assumption, but holding the mill rate standard over the course of that time.
Okay. Okay, that's what it looked like to me, so thank you for that confirmation. And I just, we're talking if 600 units, an additional 1,000 people perhaps in this subdivision. And I really question your assertion that there will be, minimal impact to town services. I mean, it would mean expansions to, increased demand on the Gray Recreation Department. Given this is an older population, I'm thinking 100% there will be impact on fire and rescue, and also more increased demands on the library and the town office, and certainly the library would welcome more patrons, but and I would want them to be there, but the town office staff would have to deal with additional with demands for payment of taxes and things like that, other services. So I think there really would be additional impact, and so I think that's not quite accurate. A huge concern that I have about this proposal is that the impact on Wilkie's Beach parking area and Crystal Lake usage is completely unaddressed. And I just you call it Crystal Lake Estates. I mean, it seems like, and the lake is right there, and they can walk across the street and use it. It's a concern to me that that's just not something you're concerned about. And because the parking lot is already just choked in the summertime on warm days, and water quality is in the lake, in that lake in particular, is under threat. So so I just increased usage, increased boating traffic. It's not that big a lake, honestly, and so that's a concern that I have. And then Vinny already brought up the impact on traffic. I believe that intersection is already a D under MDOT ratings. We had it redone a number of years ago, and we couldn't get them to do more than what they did. But it's already, again, challenged. And it's not just coming north on Route 26 at the end of the day, but getting off of North Raymond Road at the beginning of the day because of the high school traffic and commuter traffic. And that traffic isn't generated just by Gray, it's generated by Raymond and Poland and New Gloucester. And so there's, and those are towns that we have zero control over, of course. And so there's just a lot of demand on that road. I appreciate your offer of land on which to build another water tower, but I also wonder about the impact on the aquifer of that many more units coming online and demanding water, but also just the impact on the aquifer of the septic systems. I mean, that's a huge number of septic systems in a fairly small location, and I appreciate that you are talking about clustering some of them, and but still, that's a lot of demand on those on the land, and I guess I'll just end by saying, this proposal first came before the council, and I think it was like 2017 or early 2018, and it was 400 and some units then, and I think the then council said that's too many, and so you brought it back at 628, and that was kind of the wrong direction. And I think the council then told you that was too many. And so you have reduced it slightly to 600, but it still feels, this represents a huge rate of growth for the town of Gray. I mean, it absolutely dwarfs anything we've seen in the town's existence, the entire history of the town's existence. And I just, it's absolutely true, and I'm very aware of the governor and the legislature's housing goals and affordable housing goals, and but there's nothing in the legislation that has passed that requires a town like Gray to accept a subdivision of this size. I mean, I think that the legislature, yes, has been saying, like, if you have, if you can, it's more focused on the ADU level and maybe a, small subdivision level, but This, I mean, I'm just not sure how we would accommodate this growth, to be honest with you, this magnitude of growth in such a short period of time. So that's, I guess those are my points.
Thank you. Good point. Anybody else have anything else you want to add?
I think Ian covered all the bases pretty much, other than, like I said, this is just too overwhelming for the town. The traffic alone would be crushing, so.
Yeah, I'd like Kristen, and can you hold off a few minutes? We'll let you get up. But if Kristen, if you guys could step up for a second, and I know you guys have looked at this a little bit. Have you guys looked at any of the? I mean, you know, I think there's three pieces, right? For me, and I think everyone agrees. Number one is traffic. Number two is, you know, water, and number three is septic. You know, I mean, those are the
zoning also.
Yeah, I mean, so you know, those are the big issues for us. Have you guys? What do you guys think? I mean, we hire you guys to do this, and I would love your opinion.
I mean, some of that is difficult to address before we get plans. We're at that stage where we're looking to see if you have any appetite at all as a council to move forward with this level of density. And then we would get into that level of detail, like Keith said, with a traffic study to see what the impact is, and that would go to planning board and public hearings to see what their feedback is on how to handle it. As Ann mentioned, it does involve the DOT road and those level of service elements that would likely need to be upgraded for something I would expect of this magnitude. But we can't really speak to a lot of the detail at this point. I think you can probably speak to the septics.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I think the important, one of the things that is really the big picture question that the council is looking at is how much density, if let's assume this is all usable land, before you start taking out wetlands, sloped lands, unusable land, how many units could you put in there if this was all nice, flat, open field, usable land? So what, like 300, I think?
That was, yeah, you could get, right now, if it was all usable, 188 lots, and you could put a duplex on each one, so 376 units, assuming it's all totally usable, which it is not. So it's almost, what they're proposing now is about 25,000 square feet per unit, which is on page 7 of the submittal, and the current zoning is 40,000 per unit. So that's the big question right off for you. Do you want to effectively almost have the square unit per dwelling unit size in that area? And I can speak to why the previous town manager and planner had denied it in the past. We were looking at that future land use map that area is designated as critical rural in the comp plan that people voted for, which was going to be integrated into the new zoning at some point. But that area was not looked at by the townspeople as being a place to put a great deal of density, which is why it was denied a couple times by council and at the staff level per the policy.
And isn't part of this on the waterhead also?
There is some amount of aquifer on this parcel.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, but I think it's important for the council to note that they're coming in and asking you pretty much for double what would be allowed if it was all usable before you even start taking any out. We don't know how much of this X amount of acres is actually usable. So let's say if it's only 25% of it, they could be asking for 5 times the amount of density opposed to double the density, assuming it was all usable land, which we know from the start it's not. And so I think that's sort of more of the question, and the density with all of the other things that I think Ann did a great job at summarizing, what you would need to consider. So I don't know if you want us to address other stuff, Mike, or if the council has any questions.
If I may, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll just add that, as the presenter explained, this is a very conceptual design, and just to support our staff, they need a lot more detail for us to develop a complete opinion about it. But I think maybe after you have an opportunity to hear from the public, I know you wanted to do today, we could have a discussion amongst the council about what you'd like to do. So if you think 600 units is too much and you'd like to see 300 units, then you could provide us that guidance, and we
Okay.
could sit down with the developer and talk to them about refinements that they can make based on the feedback that we've heard from the council this evening. If you want no development or very small scale development or whatever is allowed there, if you said that, or you don't want to support the contract zone, you could tell us that this evening, and that would give us and the individual, the project direction on which way to go. But if you want to work with them on some sort of development there, just not at the level that they're necessarily proposing, then we would need some guidance and some feedback in order to go back to the developer to work with them on that. But ultimately, the decision to create a contract zone is essentially creating a land use ordinance that's specific for that piece of property, and that specific piece of property would create that zoning ordinance. That lies within the council's authority. Once that zoning ordinance is created, then there would be a much more expansive process that would take place at the planning board, as well as the other state agencies that were mentioned that would be required to review a project of this size that has impacts many areas. So there would be a lot of, if this moves forward, a lot of public process, a lot of opportunity for public input, a lot of different groups involved in that. But ultimately, for them to even move forward with an application in the planning board, a contract zone needs to be established, and that authority lies with the town council, and they're able to create a contract zone that supports what they recommend.
Okay.
Can I ask a question, a point
Please,
of clarification? About your statement, Michael. I mean, under our current zoning, there would be, several hundred units potentially allowed, correct? With no changes, with no contract.
Yeah, so under the current zoning, Kristen identified the amount of units that could be built.
So
if
it
you
doesn't
don't
require a contract.
Yeah, if you don't want a contract zone, that was my point, the council said we don't want to do a contract zone, we want to let them develop to the current standards that exist in that area, they could do that and bring
Right.
forth a development that proposed that. But sometimes with a contract zone, you can get a benefit of preserving a lot of land, and in this case, that there might be an opportunity for the council to preserve a lot of land if you allow a certain section to be higher dense, so that way you can support more units in a certain area and then preserve the balance of the land. If that's something, that's where sometimes a contract zone could apply if you don't support the same amount of units that they're proposing today. So there's an opportunity to do a contract zone that supports the same amount of development that's allowed today, but allow the land to be used in a better way, if that makes sense.
Right, I mean, well, but we do have cluster zoning, don't we? I mean, so that clustering option is available to them, and certainly would be something that I would encourage. And I know a lot of our open space subdivisions have come to us where the land that's set aside for generously open space for the town is all wetland, which is like great. We do need to protect the wetlands, but it's not usable open space for the town. So, I mean, potentially, and that the planning board could weigh in this, and the open space committee has been great at providing early feedback to developers about that. But, so it's true that, a contract zone could allow us, could potentially allow us to get more usable open space on behalf of the town. But but anyway, we discussed that.
Keith, I do have a question for you. If we came back and said,
Thank you, ladies.
we'd be interested in, let's say, 50. Is that something you guys would have an appetite for? Or, I mean, because what we just heard was, realistically, they think the most that they could get in there is 150. If we came back and said we'd let you put 50 in there, would that be something you'd be interested in, or no? It's a no deal at that point.
50 total?
Yeah, 50 total.
Yeah, I think that's substantially below what we would be able to do as of right under your current zoning, and all the more so when these changes hit next year. And I don't say that to try to take away any of the town's authority to control your land use. It's just that the density question is completely, the landscape has changed, and it's not whether we like it or we don't like it. It's whether it meets or doesn't meet the legal standards that apply, your ordinance standards, the state standards that apply to it.
Can I point
Yeah,
of
please do,
clarification on
yeah.
that? I mean, that's true, but it also, those standards apply in growth areas, which this is not. And so the town has the ability to decide whether or not to, kind of overrule the comp plan and call this a growth area that would accommodate that kind of growth, right?
It creates a different standard for growth areas. It's going to be 4 units per lot in a growth area, 3 units per lot in a non-growth area. So the idea that you have rural housing, that you have lots, large single-family lots of acres, is just not going to be the future of land use controls. It's clear, and if it's we're gonna try to reformulate this if that's the feedback we're getting from the council. That's your right, but I think our plans for development are closer to what we're looking for tonight rather than what we would take.
I guess I'd be interested in seeing some of the, some impact studies. I think that would be helpful, just as maybe a starting point.
Sure.
You know?
And regarding how much of the land is usable and wetlands and things like that, we can definitely come up with figures to speak to that.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. I think it's critical for the council to understand if they're going to make a decision based on that you know exactly what percentage of the proposed acreage is actually usable. So if they're proposing 300 acres and only 25% of that is usable, that's a much lower density volume that would be allowed there than if all 300s are usable.
Right.
So I think that's a really critical piece for all of you to know is how many units can that land actually support? Is it 300? Is it 125? What's your baseline? And then how much are you willing to go over? And I think that's a piece that was not addressed tonight, and I think it would have been very helpful if that information was available to present to them.
Yeah.
I think I know public wants to get up and comment, so we'll let them get up and comment, then we'll talk to you at the end, okay? So what we're gonna do is we've got 30 minutes. I'm gonna let as many people get up and talk as they want, but 3 minutes each. It's gotta be a hard stop because there's a lot of people here. So one at a time, please step up, state your name, and tell us.
John Welch. I'm assuming this is being recorded?
Yes, sir.
And copies will be available to the public?
It'll be online, yes.
Okay. This map that we have been given that was on the display up here, is this all of the property that will be affected by this development? Yes, this is all of it?
Yes.
Okay. And there looks to me, I'm making assumptions, that there's going to be agricultural land that will disappear. Will that be replaced in some way?
I'm just going to interrupt you, and you can go a couple minutes over. What we're looking for tonight is just, you can get up and make your statement, okay? We can't do Q&A, okay? What we'd like to do is this, is that if you do have questions, please email us, right? And we will get those over to them.
I'll make my question statements then.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, it looks like agricultural land is going to be lost. Town services are certainly going to be impacted. There appear on the map here 2 outlets for all of these people, however many, 2 outlets, and those outlets are on each side of Mayberry Road, right by the beach. And I imagine if you want to cross traffic and turn left out of there, it's going to be difficult. Who will be responsible to manage all of this after the build? That's a question I have. There is alluding to a well being put in, and I'd like to know where that well would be. Has there been a test well put in? And somebody mentioned already that there are going to maybe 600 septic systems. This is probably sand and gravel here. So I'd like to know where that is. And there has been mention in the past about Libby Hill Road, and I don't see Libby Hill Road on the map here, so that's why I wanted to ask the question about the access and all that jazz. And if these are sold to people that are 55 and over, what about a second owner? can they sell to someone else that has 7 kids, that want to put a business in there, that type of thing. And contract zone, my idea of a contract zone is it is a dumbing down of zoning in order for the town to gain some other advantage. And I don't know if we would have many advantages gained here. And I think that's, I have 10 seconds left. Okay. And the $500 is a one-time contribution.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Christy Elliott. I won't use up all 3 minutes, but I want to get out of here before my baby starts fussing. I'm against this development. I think the scale, density, and location is just not the right place. And it should meet the current zoning. That's why we have zoning, is to give guidance for developers, and it should meet the current zoning. And I wanted, obviously, I'm not going to beat the dead horse about the traffic, but I think the only benefit for the town would be financial, and I'm not convinced that the applicant has financial, because I know 3 of the lots that the applicant currently owns within the development, there are liens out because they haven't paid their taxes. So that's kind of a red flag for me when I look at this. So yeah, I think it should meet the current zoning. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Can I start or should I wait? Okay. My name is Jess Palladino. I've lived in Gray for just over 10 years now, raised my son here. I'm a residential real estate broker, so I can say one of the only things that I agreed with here tonight is that we do need more housing. However, our comprehensive plan that the public has voted on has outlined areas for that growth to be, and that's for good reason. So I think it's easy to pick apart this proposal and talk about the traffic and the impact on the town, and they're missing this study, they're missing that study, but I think the key question at this phase is, prior to all of those studies, is why would the town even consider something like this in a critical rural area where the comprehensive plan clearly states that it should be protected at the maximum from development. And this is a huge development. It's huge. We don't see developments like at 600 units right across the street from a lake in our neighboring towns. And I was pretty appalled that Crystal Lake was not included in this or thought about at all. So I'm sure engineers can do a really good job figuring out all of the wastewater. I have great faith in all of that the wetlands will be protected. But that is a lot of people. Even if you cut this in half, that is so many people. And the lake is small. It's on the state's, vulnerable list for a reason, because it's greatly impacted by what's around it. And that includes people just walking over to Wilkie's Beach, which is small. It's a town beach, so that means all of these people would be over there. There's no mooring ordinance in the town of Gray right now, which means all of these people at any point, at any time, can drop their boat in. And I'm personally very attached to the loons on the lake. And I know I have no authority to say, hey, excuse me, sir, you have to move your mooring, because this is where the loons have nested and attempted to have babies for the past 6 years. So that was a lot, but I just wanted to voice those concerns, because I think it's easy to pick apart, pieces of a proposal, but the reality is that, yes, the state is rightfully looking at zoning laws to make it easier for people to add ADUs and, to subdivide their lots, but this is a completely different thing, and this should be safe for the growth areas of our town. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know. Baby's got a lot to say about it.
I'm Nari Mingo Lawandowski. I grew up here. This is my hometown. And I applaud all of you for the job that you're willing to do. My dad was very involved in community service here, as were most of the people that are in here. I would caution you, this is our community, not a builder's community. Their interest, although we need homes, is business. I want you to speak to your heart for a minute. Crystal Lake, we grew up. We all took swimming lessons there. We all picnicked there. We have the privilege of enjoying it now because it's clean, it's family friendly, and it's lovely. Gray is a small rural community, and I think a lot of us like it that way. And I would ask you to at least consider that. Yes, we have a beautiful new fire station, and we have fabulous services that we never had when I grew up. We walked everywhere, everybody looked out for each other, and it's grown, and it's a good thing. Growth is good, but your challenge is to find that balance for us and represent all of us. And I would ask that you please not put the traffic first, not even put the schools first. Put our community at large, our lakes, because they're not going to be replaced. And I would ask that you please consider those priorities, and then the other ones, they'll fall into place through your guidance. And again, I thank you so much for the job that you do for this community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, I have nothing prepared. My name is Nancy Murdoch. I live in North Raymond Road. And I've been in Gray of 11 years. I come from every community you can imagine because my husband and I moved every 10 years. Being in Gray, the first thing I had a hard time with was even walking on North Raymond Road. And I had people coming out and telling me I should not walk on Raymond Road because it's very dangerous. I even went to Staples and I got a sign this big. It says 40 miles per hour. They just went faster, so I had to stop using that. I still walk that with my dog because I feel I own part of that, and nobody's going to stop me from walking. So, but I go to my mailbox and I fear for my life because I'm here and they're right here. And they're not going 40 miles an hour. I don't know, maybe once in a while you might find somebody. I estimate, and I'm a former claims person, auto, and I estimate they're going over 60 miles an hour. And some even 70, 80, close to that. And there's no, I have complained to 2 sheriffs. I have actually mentioned it to the town manager. I feel I did, you know, I'm a proactive person, so I just think more can be done. I wanted one of those flashing signs like you're going too fast, you know. But that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And that's my first public speech.
Good job.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Welch. I'm a Crystal Lake resident. Several years ago when this came up, it was 628 units, and I made a couple of phone calls to the CEO offices of Cumberland and Falmouth and discussed it with them and thought I wanted to know what their thoughts on such a large development was. And they were totally shocked that someone would even come before the town with a plan like this that didn't involve a sewer system. So I know I can't ask a question, but I would ask you to think about our standards in comparison with Falmouth and Cumberland, and why should our standards be any different? Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Robert Sawyer. I was born in Portland, but 2 weeks later I came to Gray, and I've been here ever since, except for the time in the military. I think used to be called the Town of Gray. I would like to see you keep it the Town of Gray, not a municipality. Keep it rural. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to get up tonight?
There's a few people online, so if anyone online wants to participate, if you're able to use the raise hand function, we'd be able to unmute you. I don't see anyone. And then I know representatives of the Gray Water District are here. Did you guys have anything? I've been sharing this information with the Gray Water District. As soon as I received the proposal, I've been open and have an open dialogue with them to just let them know about it. I don't know if they wanted an opportunity to speak. Do you want to?
Sure. Please step up.
Sure.
Yeah, if you could, please step up. Yep.
I think it would be fair for the council to hear from you.
Absolutely.
So my name is Bill Gardner. I'm the superintendent of the Gray Water District. And I'm just going to say that we have not been approached by this group about the water source and whether or not we can supply them or not, at least not since I've been superintendent since 2020. They may have approached in the past, so this is kind of news to us. And I just would like to add that right now in our current configuration, we would struggle to supply this whole development. When it would reach phase 3, one of our biggest problems is they would be higher than our hydraulic grade line. They would be above our tanks. We wouldn't be able to supply the pressure to them at all, unless they want to enter into a low pressure agreement, but I wouldn't recommend that. And then it's also a capacity issue. Just with our current usage right now and the supply, or our capacity that we have now, we'd struggle to be able to supply that without another tank being built, which we have plans to do. But I would have to ask this development that they would contribute. I mean, they would have to contribute a main extension anyways, but they would have to contribute to that tank build to be able to supply the capacity to be able to handle this. The pumping station that they propose, we're really not that interested in, because we've had that looked at by our hydrologist engineer in the past as a non-viable source. It would just not be enough. And our concerns of the sewer system and they're on that groundwater, we wouldn't even consider it. It would add no benefit to us, really. Phase 1, we can handle no problem. If you scaled it back to phase 1, I can absolutely supply that hands down. When we start getting into that hydraulic grade above our tanks, we're going to be in trouble without a new tank being built, which is in the plans. We've been planning that for a while, but I would ask this development to help us with that build. And you're talking about a $2 million build. So that's kind of all I've got, unless you guys got questions about it.
I don't.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bill, could you mention that the main on North Raymond Road, that would be...
Yeah, and that would be another portion that we would have to address with them. I mean, we've made upgrades to the dry mills. We have new main just beyond that intersection. Last year, we made improvements out on the lake into Mayberry as well. But we have old 10-inch cement cast iron main out there, about 1,000 feet where they would be tying in. That would need to be upgraded to 12-inch. I don't believe it could handle the flows right now without being upgraded. So we would need to ask them to help us upgrade that as well. So there's a lot of upgrades on the water end that would need to take place to be able to support this, for sure. So.
Thank you. What do you guys think? I'll start with you, Kenny. I mean, I know my opinion is I just don't see this as being viable, but I want to know what you guys want to do.
I believe that Kristen and Tammy said it the best. I don't believe there's 300 acres of usable land there. So the zoning isn't there for this to even come close to 600 units. The town can't handle 600 units, not just the traffic, fire and rescue. When 55 and older, they fall down, they're sick. You're gonna have to get more EMS, more ambulances. The fire department's already outgrown the fire station. Water can't supply that. This is a hard no for me.
Manny?
I'm in line with Ken, but at the same time, in fairness, I think getting a feasibility study to see what the impact would be fair. Clearly, it's not going to be that many units, so I don't know what their bottom number is. But we do have other developments coming in. They're 25 units or whatever they may be. I know that's much less than what they want, but I guess it would only be fair to get a feasibility study to see what those impacts would be, and then see what the minimum amount of houses or homes they would look at doing, and see if there's a happy medium.
Okay, thank you. Ann?
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I can't accept 600. I think, I mean, there certainly are advantages to a contract zone, potentially, depending on how the town negotiates. And I understand the value of that approach. And it may even be preferable to do that, in using a smaller number of units, like 150 or whatever the current zoning would permit. So I'm not averse to a contract zone, but I am averse to the scale of this project. I think it's going to blow our water supply out of the water. It's going to be it would require a lot of upgrades. The developer has not suggested it's possible they'd be willing to make those, but I do worry about the impact on the aquifer and on our existing customers. And I also think, if we agreed to something of this size, then Gray will still have other development happening elsewhere in town. So it wouldn't just be 600 units over 10 years. We'd be looking at potentially another 400 units or more, 400 probably minimum over the next 10 years as well. So that's a lot for the town to accommodate over that period of time. And I don't believe that the state laws would mandate this kind of development. So I would say no. I would accept, lower levels of development. I know that's allowed under our current zoning, but the impact on Crystal Lake is a concern for me, and on Wilkes Beach as well. And I think the town does own additional land on, adjacent to Wilkes Beach that would accommodate an expansion there. It's nothing the town has been willing to, consider in recent years, but we would absolutely need to go there to accommodate the additional cars that would be using that beach area, and that's potentially something that could be discussed as part of a contract zone, but it's the other thing is it's a top 10 or top 5 bike ped priority to add a sidewalk from Wilkes Beach to Shaker Road. That's been on the books for a long time now, almost 10 years, and again, nothing the town has been willing to do, but I think with that size of a population, we would need to add a sidewalk along North Raymond Road, and that's an additional cost either to the town or the developer or both, and I'm not sure the town is really up for that. So I guess we would be a no to this current proposal.
All right. Charity?
Share the same sentiment as the other 3 council members that have already spoken. So it would be a no from me based on this current proposal.
Yeah, and I'm the same way. I just don't see this, and not to add a contract zone at all. So.
Could I add a couple comments? My name is Frank Lane. I'm a resident. I live at 126 North Raymond Road. I've been doing a little bit of math. Even if it is the 55-plus community, most people still work till 65, 67, maybe even 70 or more. So it doesn't make sense. There won't be additional traffic. And can you picture Route 26 being a 4-lane highway? Because that's what it's going to take to accommodate this kind of development.
I agree.
Okay, food for thought.
Thank you. All right, so Mike, I think, you know.
We've heard some feedback. The developers have heard the feedback from the town council and the community, and we'll talk with the developers about seeing what they can do to try to address the feedback concerns of the town council, and if they wish to continue with their contract zone proposal in another form, I'll work with the chair leadership to schedule a future workshop for similar to this.
Yeah, they want to come back. All right. Thank you. Thank you guys for all your time today. We're going to recess, and we'll be back at 7. Meeting adjourned.
that's right.
Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight. We're going to get started. I appreciate everyone that was here earlier and the people that showed up this evening. So the people that are joining through Teams, you've got the address. If you want to call in, it's 469-708-0487. The meeting ID is 349-497-122 £. I'm going to do a quick roll call. I'm going to start to my left this time. Ann.
Present.
Charity.
Present.
Vince.
Present.
Ken.
Present.
And myself, Mike. I'm also present as well. We are going to get up and give a say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, and I skipped over, I actually gave the wrong meeting ID. I apologize, I had the wrong meeting up. If you are listening, it's 298-395-201.
Accept a motion to approve and then
Oh, yeah.
discussion?
Yeah. So do I have a motion to approve?
So moved?
Second?
Second.
All right. And then, does anybody have any questions or changes on these?
No.
No? All right, let's do a, all in favor? Right, passed. And then the last one, do we have a motion to accept these on the September 16th, 2025?
So moved?
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? All right. And we will talk about these, all the, if anybody gets an opportunity, please read over the minutes from our town council retreat. It was a great opportunity to get together. All right, so we're going to start with council communications. I'll start from my left to my right. So Ann, if you want to start.
Sure. Let's see. So Open Space met last month, and at our last meeting, the committee heard a presentation from Gray resident Tim Hughes, who's a darksky.org member and night sky enthusiast, about the harmful effects of light pollution and ways to prevent it or minimize it. The committee also reviewed a developer's proposal for an open space set aside in a proposed open space subdivision. At the upcoming meeting, the committee will elect a new chair and focus on setting goals for the coming year. Resiliency met on September 15th, which is not our usual time, but we had scheduling needs. And we reviewed edits to the draft surface water protection ordinance that the town attorney had made, and our plan is to meet again with the Ordinance Advisory Committee in October and bring the draft back to council in November. I was on vacation for the last few weeks, so I don't have any other activities to report, but I did receive an invitation from Caitlin Morse to meet with her regarding her business, which has to do with helping people navigate long-term care options. So I'm going to do that this week. And I received a complaint from a resident regarding bright lighting on a town building that shines into his residence, and also concerns about after-dark use of the basketball court. And I referred that to the rec director and the facilities and parks director. And it looks like there are plans to resolve it. I was invited to participate in a GP-COG weekly radio show on WMPG, but my schedule didn't permit that this week. And I received an email from a Meadowview resident regarding parking and safety issues related to the new Meadowview 2 building. That's it for me.
Excellent, thank you. And if somebody wasn't here for our previous meeting, I just want to thank Ann. She did a great job researching and asking the right questions, and thank everybody in the council. Appreciates all the work that you did. Thank you. Charity.
All right, so I've got a couple of things. The Blueberry Festival Committee met on September 15th just to do a wrap up after the festival, kind of discuss what went well, what went bad, and then made plans to, if I remember correctly, I say made plans, but made the initiative to meet next in January, if I recall correctly. The Dry Mills Committee met on September 17th. and of course discussed building repairs and what that would look like. Welcomed me because that was my first time making it to a meeting, and gave me a tour. So it was a good time, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Charity. Vince?
The only thing we had on the agenda was a planning board meeting on 9/11 to do a sketch plan review for the Egypt Road, Sandbrook Division South, and Miller Refrigeration. They're doing an expansion, which ultimately got approved and everybody's signing off on.
Excellent.
That's it.
Thank you. Ken?
Yeah, I have the G&G Rec Department. They're doing a trunk or treat this year at October 25th at the near Gloucester Fairgrounds. So this year they did donations. So I would like to thank Pathid Vineyard Church. They stepped up and did the king-size donation. Joel Bear Brothers Incorporated, full-size donation. Craig from Getchell's Quality Car Care. Lou from Lou's Auto Repair. Sally from China Village. Cody Crane and Riggin. Ken's Car Care. And people also can donate still. Just go down to the rec department and you can give a donation for the candy. Second is Kyle from our RT department wants to dissolve the Community Television Advisory Committee. He has approval from the 2 members, and he is looking for guidance from the council to move forward, and he should be on live if anybody has any questions on what is going on from here.
Okay.
I am here. Well,
All right. Yeah, we can do it. If it's okay, do you want to let him speak now, Ken?
Yeah. Go
Okay,
ahead.
I'm fine with that. Yep.
Okay. Yep. Hello, council. Thank you for entertaining the idea. Simply that the duties of the committee have run their course and have for a while now. Unfortunately, attendance and recruitment for this committee specifically has been really not good. For as long as I've been here, so since 2021, there has not been a forum. And there was not even a forum when we moved it down to 3 necessary members, cut the size there in half last year, and it still did not help things. And more to the point, the duties that the committee were initially charged with are now completely covered by not only a director of communications such as myself, a position that did not exist when this committee first was created, but also our media production coordinator, Chris Daggett. He and we cover all of the responsibilities that were of the committee's charge. And it's never the case that I don't want to hear about community ideas for public access programming. That is still entirely, within the realm of things I want to see happen. We just don't need a committee to do that anymore. I encourage anyone in the community, if they have an idea for public access, please reach out to me directly, contact the town in some way, and we can make it happen. But long story short is just the committee is not needed anymore.
Okay, thank you. Mike, how do we handle that?
So if the council wishes, we could bring forth an amendment to the committee policy at our next meeting to remove it, or we could wait until the council does an annual review of the committee policy and remove it at that point. But in the meantime, based on the guidance, they wouldn't convene any committee meetings.
Yeah, and because we got some other things that we needed to talk about as well, so we can
We could plan it in the future.
Yep, that works for me. All right, thank you, Kyle.
Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you.
Ken, did you have anything else?
Well, we had the finance committee today, but I will let you talk about that.
Excellent. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. So a couple things. I wanted to kind of discuss a little bit about our workshop. I think we had a very successful workshop. We had some opportunity to talk amongst ourselves of how we should be working with each other and also working with the town and citizens. I think we're all in agreement how we're going to move forward, and I think everyone will respect how we're going to work and what we're going to do that. There's also, if you get a chance, I do strongly recommend that you read the recap. It's they did a really nice job with recapping, what we talked about. So I'm not going to sit here and go through everything, but I think it was a very successful workshop, and I look forward to doing more in the future because I think it really got everybody on the same page and a good way to work with each other. There was a library meeting tonight that I missed because of all the other 3 meetings that I went to. And we had the Finance Committee meeting. We elected Bob, and Bob's last name is Coleman, as the chair. And we really appreciate Bob, stepping up to the plate. He's been on the committee now for a few years, if I remember correctly. And we welcome, that was, Ken, that was your first meeting?
Yes.
Yeah, so Ken is the liaison. I'm on the committee, and as well as Judy Simoneau. We did come up with a few things that we'll work on. One of the things that we discussed was what our purpose was and how we're going to move forward. And I believe that we've come to a good place with what we're going to do for the town and how we're going to move forward. And we're looking at making some changes that we think everyone else is going to like. And, it's with everything that happened in the past, we want to make sure that doesn't happen again. So we are reviewing the warrants on a bi-weekly basis. We are going to be having everyone look at everything, but I will be approving the warrants along with Michael, and it should be good. We are going to look at some other things, like there may be opportunities in the future to change some of the software that we have. The issue with the software that we have, we're limited to the reporting that we get. There may be some more costs, but I think, it'll allow us to do some more things, and it will be much more efficient, but those are things to come. Mike, did you have anything else that you want to add about because you were there as well? I think that covers it, right?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
All right. Obviously we had, the meeting before this, the workshop before this. We do want the town to grow. I think most of us are in agreement that we do need more housing, and we are going to look at there's a lot of opportunities over the next year or so that are on our plate, and we'll continue to look at them and take all the feedback. Talking about feedback as far as correspondence, I think most of us received quite a bit of correspondence about the workshop on Crystal Lake, and we've all considered it. Obviously, it's something that we all hold near and dear to our heart. The town that we live in, the growth that we're looking for, and our resources. So we appreciate everyone that showed up tonight and all the feedback that we did get. And that's all I have. Mike.
Let me just share my screen here. So I just have a few quick things to report. Just want to remind everyone about table talk with the town manager. Sometimes it takes place the same week as a meeting, but it took place last week with a later meeting this month. And I heard from some residents, came in to talk about things going on in the community, and it's a great opportunity to connect. If you haven't been, Local Centric's a great spot that has a little cafe in the back, and gives us a much low-key opportunity to just have some regular conversation with myself and other residents. We've had some very successful ones. Wanted to just thank everyone for coming out for the town meeting. We approved the minutes for that tonight, and thankfully the budget was overwhelmingly passed on September 9th. So we thank the community for their support, and we're working to implement the priorities of that budget. Just want to remind everyone about the upcoming state referendum election that's taking place on November 4th. The polls will be open as usual at the New Begin Gym, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. And absentee voting has begun in the clerk's office as of yesterday. So you can come and vote absentee if you would like. And then also last week we celebrated the retirement of Randy Cookson. We had a well-attended event to celebrate his retirement with town staff and town councilors and some people from the public, and we were excited to celebrate him. The town staff collected money for him and gifts, and it was a good time to celebrate Randy's many years of service to the community. On an interim basis, and as you see on the agenda later this evening, there's a referral for the town council to form a committee to review the transfer station with the departure of a longtime manager. And on an interim basis, our Public Works Department will be overseeing the facility until we decide the direction to go. Just want to provide some other general updates to remind everyone to sign up to our digital newsletter to get information, regular information about the town. I also had mentioned at our last meeting that change to town office hours is on hold at the moment. We had considered to reopen on Fridays, and the town office employees formed a collective bargaining unit, and so we have to work with them to bargain for those conditions. We haven't begun that process of bargaining yet, but once we do, I'll keep the town council updated on that. I wanted to remind everyone about a community branding survey that's gone out. You can get that information on our social media channels as well as our website. And then I included financial reports for both fiscal year 26 and 25. And we are currently in fiscal year 26, we operated under budget. In fiscal year 25, we operated under budget, and we over-collected revenues. So we used minimal of the revenues that we had proposed to use from fund balance. Those are unaudited financials, and we'll be having those audited in the coming months. And then for fiscal year 26, our report, the report I provided in the packet did have a couple of typos, and I apologize for that. We'll have an updated one next month, but we're about 25% or so expended of our budget within the first quarter, right about where we should be, and about 25% collected on revenues. So that's all I had to report today, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. I do have a question for you, Mike. During our offsite, we did talk about, because I saw the comments. Did you ever find out if you can keep the comments on or off at the when we make a post?
We potentially have the ability to restrict it. I was going to consult with you about scheduling that at a future meeting to make a policy change here at the town council.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. So now it is, and I'm going to try to not say so much. My wife yells at me all the time, so I got to take a little break. I go a little too fast sometimes. So now is the public comments of the non-agenda items. It's going to be limited to 3 minutes per person. And I do want to stop, and this is one of the subjects that we talked about quite a bit, is we want to be fair to everybody and make sure everyone gets an opportunity to get up and say what they feel about the town. This is not a question and answer time. No town does question and answers. We've spent a lot of time looking into it. We did take the rules and we post them in here, and I'll read them in a second. It's not that we don't want people to get up and comment. There are plenty of times to comment. There's 3 minutes now. Every time we have an agenda item, there's 3 minutes, and then there's 3 minutes at the end. So we want to be fair to everybody and give everybody an opportunity. We don't want to be like some of the other towns that say only 20 minutes for everybody, and if you're not one of the first people to jump up, you're not going to have it. So we want to be fair to everybody. So the public is invited to address the council on any item of business not on the agenda for tonight's meeting. Note to the citizens, citizens have the right and are encouraged to speak during public comment regarding items not on the agenda or regarding an item at that time in which it does appear on the agenda prior to the council beginning its deliberation. All comments and questions during public comment or an agenda item are limited to not more than 3 minutes. Anyone in attendance in person or remotely who wishes to speak will have the opportunity to speak once. The chair will allow any person who has already addressed the council during public comment or an agenda item or during a public hearing to speak again, but only to clarify a point or share a new and previously unheard point of view. This is not intended as a time for debate. The chair will close public comments as soon as no new information is being presented. Additional comments are welcome at the second public comment period on the agenda. You can call 469-708-0487, and the meeting ID is 298-395-201. And the only other thing I say before people get up and make comments is that if you have questions, it really is important that you email us. And then we can research and we can get back to you, and we're all on the same page. A lot of times people get up and ask questions that we don't have the answers to, and we don't want to give the wrong answers. So what we decided is the best thing to do is if you have questions, just send us an email. You can send it to the town council, you can send it to myself, you can send it to any councilors or to town manager Foley. We want as much feedback as we can, but we want to be as efficient as we can as well. Thank you, and is there anybody that wants to get up and make a comment? Please come up and state your name.
My name's Scott Liberty. I've got 6 generations in this town, both Libertys and Wilkinsons. My mother was Sally Wilkinson. And in my 63 years on this earth, I've seen a lot of councils come and go, a lot of planning boards come and go, a lot of zoning boards come and go in this town. And I have to say, in all honesty, this is the best council that I have seen in my lifetime. And I'm so happy that you guys are doing what you ran on. It's a breath of fresh air. And it feels like November 5th for me. When you got elected, I feel like I'm free again. And so I just came up here to tell you that I'm thankful that you did what you ran on, all of you. And I hope you stick to your guns and keep moving forward and don't be intimidated by the left. So that's what I wanted to say. And I also wanted to say that I think we're very lucky to have Dan Cobb on the planning board. He's excellent chairman. Brad Fogg on the zoning board of appeals. He's got good common sense. I think he's excellent. And I also think we're very lucky to have Tammy Munson as the code enforcement officer. You know, when we get new changes, new code enforcement officers, we're always a little hesitant as business people. Oh boy, because I've had some bad code enforcement officers in this town, trust me. And when you get a good one, you want to hang on to them. So that's pretty much what I wanted to say. And I did have a couple suggestions if I still have time left. I think before we focus too much money and energy on this village transformation, I think we have to look at somehow getting a bypass to the New Gloucester toll booth. I don't know where, but maybe up by the Gray New Gloucester line, head over that way. But you can't get through this traffic in the morning. It's a joke. And as much as people want to have this beautiful village transformation and all that, that's not what government's for. Government is for essential services, not for walking paths and, you know, pretty things. And right now, it's more important to be able to get to the doctor's appointment. I'm old now. I go to the doctor's a lot. And it's important for my kids to get to school and my grandkids. So I just, in my opinion, just toss it. Just get rid of this village transformation. It's silliness. And then the last thing is, what did I have here? Is term limits. You know, we know what's wrong with Congress. There's no term limits. People have been in Congress for 40, 50 years. This is ridiculous. Well, as a town, for the last 20-something years, I've seen the same council over and over again. I think while we have the council we have, you ought to implement term limits and get it ratified, and that will be the end of that problem.
Thank you, Scott. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Does anyone else want to get up? Please do.
Adam Wilkinson, resident of Gray. I just wanted to speak to, I've thanked Kenny Farrington off the record for his donation to the library to fill the gap with the budget. And I just wanted to publicly thank him because he's a small business just like I am. And the kind of money he donated, it's not easy just to part with that kind of money. So I just wanted to publicly acknowledge the fact of the generosity. I think it was a nice a role model move, if you will. So I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Adam.
Yeah, Lonnie Humphrey. Just here too to thank the council. The talk around town is, you know, people are looking up and looking at it as a working man's council, a town of Gray council that's kind of open-minded and sees what's going on. We won't look back, we'll look forward, but people that are hearing, you know, you got guys here speaking tonight that are old townies, and we've been through a lot here in town over the years. And looking into the future, you gotta remember where our roots were, what our community was, and what's going on. It's not just like if you moved here a couple of years ago and how you perceive it should be. Let's take it from what it's built on and just move forward. And I mean, there's growth and there's people and everything else, but I think you guys are in a thankless position up there. I mean, you're never right with everybody, and there's all kinds of people that think you're wrong and stuff, but I'll tell you, the talk around town's been pretty positive, and I'd like to thank you for your effort, because there's not, a lot of people will bitch, but they won't step forward and put their name up there and get it done, and spend the time. It's time away from your family, it's time away from everything, and it's just not a meeting a month, it's nine other things that you get stuck on for committees and everything else, so from a New Gloucester guy that has a lot to do with Gray and has lived here a lot of years, thank you for your effort, appreciate it.
Thank you.
And don't forget to stop over and buy a hot dog.
Yeah.
Anybody else? All right, guys, thank you so much for getting up.
Oh, there's one online.
Oh, there is, okay.
Rick, if you want to speak, just unmute your microphone and you should be able to speak. I've allowed him the ability to participate. So Rick, if you want to participate, just unmute your microphone and you should be able to speak. Well, maybe we can get him in the second comment.
Or if you want to call in, Rick, to that number, and I'll repeat it. It's the 469-708-0487. And the ID is 298-395-201 £. We'll take a second and let you speak. All right, let's see here. All right, next is, where'd we go here? All right, so resolve 2526-13, appointing Arin Velez to the Recreation Committee. And do we have a motion to?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All right, so does anybody have anything they want to say or any comments?
Thank you for stepping up.
Hi.
Appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely.
I think I've got I'm sorry, this is Rick Light. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, go for it, Rick. Yep, we'll give you a second.
Yeah, sorry about the technology problem. I kept trying to hit unmute and it wouldn't click on me. But anyway, thanks. It's Rick Light from 35 France Circle. And I just wanted to make a comment. Basically, hats off to our school district. Many of you may know, and if you don't, it's great news that recently the U.S. News and World Report named the Greater New Gloucester School District as #2 in the state of Maine, behind Greeley, and the top 20% in the country. Well deserved. I think anyone who knows the school district, it's easy to always harp on a school district, but when you really know what goes on in our schools, you know that you've known for a long time that was the case, and so just a big thanks to the staff, the students from both towns of New Gloucester and Gray, and the administration in the town, working together. So I just think it's an opportunity, and opportunities, as you know, are few and far between to really take your hat off in this community, in any community, and here's an opportunity where we can do a big hurrah. Celebrate that and find ways to get the word out to everybody, banner across Main Street, whatever it takes. And I think it's a great accomplishment for the town as well as the school district. And this is the sort of thing when we're talking about economic development. This is what brings people to towns. The first thing they look at with families, of course, is school districts and how they do. And here we are as an excelling school district. So I just wanted to make sure people knew about that. And if we can find ways to work together with the school, both New Gloucester Gray and the school, to just sort of promote that, I think that would be it's a huge economic opportunity, and they don't come along very often. So that's all I had to say, and thank you. Yep.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you. So I know it's a little unorthodox, so we'll go back to the appointing of Arin Velez as well. And I agree. Thank you so much for stepping up. We need people, and we'll discuss that in a few minutes as well. So do we have a motion to accept Arin for the rec committee?
I think we already did that, didn't we?
Okay, I thought we, okay, so, all in favor? All right, moving on. All right, so, let's see here. Appointing Andrew Hersom to the Zoning Board of Appeals, resolve 2526-14. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All right, so, again, we're really excited because, you know, as Brad will say, we really need people on the zoning board. And it's been tough getting people. Andrew comes with some, I think he's an attorney, is that correct? And, you know, if you'd like to get up and speak, if you're here, we'd love to hear from you.
Sure. Well, I'd like to say thank you for the appointment, assuming it goes through. Looking forward to starting work with Brad, continuing to work with Tammy, and just looking forward to it. So thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
For coming.
Oh, Tammy, go for it.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I just wanted to say that I appreciate Drew is on my Ordinance Advisory Committee currently, and so I've had the opportunity to work with him already. I'm excited that he's stepping up and joining the Zoning Board of Appeals. I think it's going to be a great fit for you, and I'm looking forward to you being on that. And I just wanted to mention that I just really appreciate anybody who volunteers on these committees. It's a lot of work, and it's a big commitment, and I really appreciate the work that you do. And, you know, Adam was here earlier. He's on my Ordinance Advisory Committee, the work that he does for the town. And so I just really appreciate it. So I'm looking forward to working with you. Thanks.
Brad Fogg, Chair of the Zoning Board of Appeals. I also encourage you to approve Andrew's application, and he brings a knowledge that the Zoning Board of Appeals needs, and kind of cross-referencing things. When the Zoning Board of Appeals in the past has run into appeals dealing with faults in the ordinance, a couple of years ago we had an appeal based on somebody needing an exemption because they wanted to do a bed and breakfast in town, and the ordinance refers to either 4 rooms or 6 rooms. They wanted 5. What do we do? And now we have a cross-reference in the avenue to deal with ordinances that we run up against in appeal situations that Andrew will also be able to take back to the Ordinance Review Committee and correct those ordinances in the long run. Or we have now a better way of communicating zoning board concerns back to the Ordinance Review Committee. And I think this is a great appointment and a great opportunity for Andrew and his family to be proud of him. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you. Yeah, we understand he's got really good parents. Kappa Delta Phi brothers, so, you know, you gotta like those guys. All right, so everyone in favor of?
Did we take a motion?
I think we did.
We did.
Yeah. See, I was wrong the first time. Now it's your turn. All right, everyone in favor of Andrew joining the board? All right, thank you, and thank you so much for stepping up to the plate. We really do appreciate it. It's great to see some of these younger people join the community. All right, so let's see. The next one, Order 2526-6, the amendment to the Municipal General Assistance Ordinance. And do we have a motion?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, so Mike, do you want to kind of explain this?
Yeah, if I may, Mr. Chair, thank you. So the annually the state adopts general assistance maximums, new general assistance maximums, and we're required by law to adopt those into our general assistance ordinance. And so the Maine Municipal Association provides a model ordinance to do that. And we have done this on an annual basis here in the town of Gray, and this would be in order for the council to approve. It is all outlined in the memo from the General Assistance Program Manager at the Maine Department of Health and Human Services, and the maximums that are allowed we are required by law to follow those, and so we want to make sure those are included in our ordinance as well.
Okay.
So basically what you're saying is every town in the state has this, we have the same guidelines.
The same guidelines, yeah.
Although towns can elect to, have different guidelines, but they just have to file them with the state.
And Ann, since you know a lot about this, is there any reason to change the guidelines?
I don't
that you
think
see?
so.
Yeah.
And when Councilor Gass says to change, you can be more generous. You can't
Right.
be.
Yeah, so you probably
you
can't,
can't
yeah.
increase that.
You can't be less
You have to do the
generous.
minimum, yeah.
Yes, the minimums, yeah.
I'm okay with sticking with the minimums, that's myself. All right, any public comment? Anybody? All right, all in favor of approving the state recommended guidelines?
And I'll just mention, there's an item that all the councils need to sign
We gotta
regarding this
sign
at
this
the
one,
end,
yeah.
so I'll pass it down the table.
Okay, all right. All right, next one is ordinance 2526 easement for winter maintenance of Long Hill Estates. And Mike, if you could explain, I know we did this last year, we do this, every year. Can you kind of explain, actually, I have a motion first. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second that.
All right, so Mike, can you kind of give us an idea why we do these maintenance agreements?
Sure, our town planner, Kristen Mazinski, has worked on this, so I'll invite her up to just explain the process that's taken place in a town or a road or new subdivision having the ability to have winter maintenance.
Sure. Thank you, Council. There's a provision in the zoning ordinance, the street ordinance, actually, to allow you to accept towns for just the plowing and sanding. This is not acceptance of a road for full maintenance. So you wouldn't be doing the actual entire maintenance. You wouldn't be taking ownership. This is the process for winter maintenance. We have two before you tonight. The Long Hill Estates proposal has already been accepted by the council prior to you. Tonight is just they have transferred ownership to the homeowners association, so they now need to be the party to grant the town the easement. So you're just signing off on accepting the easement now from the HOA instead of the developer. The second one is a new proposal to join the winter maintenance. So what you do in this process, there are kind of 3 steps that I've outlined in the memo. For that one, when it's a new proposal, there are elements they need to meet as a road. We get sign off from Public Works and from the town engineer, assuring you that it meets those standards, and we review the other standards with you. And if you feel it meets those, you can choose to add it to the Public Works budget for the next budget cycle to be worked into the budget to plow the following winter.
So this winter it won't be plowed by us, but the following winter it will, is that what you're saying?
That's correct. It's not in the budget for this coming season.
The Long Hill is, but the next one.
Long Hill,
we're talking
yes,
about. Okay.
correct. Long Hill is, this one is a little bit of a different animal. We're just doing a shift where you have a different party granting you the easement. It's paperwork,
Is
basically.
this a private drive? Is this a town accepted road?
These are all private drives. So you don't own the road, town doesn't own the road, and you're not being requested to take ownership of the road. This is only related to plowing and sanding.
Well, I thought private drives were plowed by the association and not by the town.
They can be, but there's a process and ordinance to ask you as a council if you will approve adding them into the plowing budget for Public Works.
If they meet town
If they meet
road
certain standards, yes.
Any more questions? And this one, Kenny, just to be clear, we're already doing it on this one. It just, all they
Yeah,
do
I
is change the ownership.
this is surprising. Usually in private drives, the town doesn't accept the plowing.
Yeah,
the
and
cost.
I think that's another conversation Mike and I have had, we've gone back and forth on quite a bit.
Well, yeah, you know.
I do. So, can we have, do we have, we already have a motion, so everyone in favor? Oh, Vince, I'm sorry.
So this is, in your opinion, you're supportive of these?
This one here is just.
Well, this first one is straightforward.
This one, yes.
Okay, we're just doing the first one.
Yeah, we'll talk about the other one.
Okay, all right, let's do the first one.
The
Okay,
next one we can walk through.
Change the party
We
to
can
the
walk through the next
existing
one.
agreement.
Okay, perfect.
That's all that is, yeah.
Okay,
All
good.
right,
I'm with
cool.
that.
So all in favor of this one? All right, thank you. All right, so the next one, order 2526-8, the easement for the winter maintenance of Alishia Lane. And do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second it.
All right, so can you kind of give us,
Yeah, certainly. We
Little
can walk through the memo. So it's the street ordinance, chapter 400, that outlines this process. This is a post-1998 road, so the following elements have to be met. It has to be built to the prior public street standard, and our former Public Works Director, Steve LaValle, actually had to get involved in doing the surface paving on this because the developer did not. So the town is actually the party that did the surface paving, and the other sub-base work was confirmed by the town's consulting engineer to have been done to spec at the time, and we do have those reports. So it's met per what I've written up and looked at, it has met the requirements for the standard of construction per its chapter 400 to 4A. The second standard is that you can't submit it to council and ask for plowing until 75% is occupied. This is fully occupied. It's at 100%. There's 4 units and they're fully occupied. And then the third piece is that they have to meet the construction standards. And again, we can confirm that it was built to spec because it ended up having to be done finally by the town itself. And we do have sign off from the Public Works Director, both past and present.
So when I read through this, it says $742.50, so that's for the season?
That is...
Is that what it means? Is that what it's saying, or is that per?
I believe it adds that much to the plowing contract for I think there are 2 plowing contracts. That was the figure given to me by the Public Works Director.
We're only talking about 0.15 of
So that just covers the cost for the sand and
Yeah,
the salt
that-
and the...
yeah,
the
to
plow,
go-
the entire...
It's subcontracted
Yep.
out, and we have a per mile or per lane mile price. And so the 0.15 mile will add $742 to that contract.
Okay.
But we would build that into this coming budget for next year's plowing season. So we wouldn't plow it this coming winter.
I'm just curious, how many houses are on this road?
4.
4.
All right.
So the town isn't plowing this road, we're subbing this out, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
All of the plowing, my understanding, is contracted.
Yeah, so most of so here in the town of Gray, we plow a lot of private roads,
Okay.
a lot of them. And so it's something that the town decided to do a number of years ago and has continued to support year after year. And so thankfully, we have a contractor that's provided us some favorable pricing, so we're able to continue to offer that service. And so those roads, the private roads in the town, because we don't have enough public works staff in order to plow those, they're plowed by a private contractor
Right,
that we
yeah.
have a budget for in the municipal budget.
All righty.
All right.
You know, I live on a private road. A lot of us don't get a lot of other resources, and for the minimal cost, I'm all for it. So that's just my opinion, but yeah.
I would agree.
All in favor of adding this? All right, thank you. I appreciate your time. All right. So, and then we've got the Order 2526-9, the Yarmouth Road Public Easement. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second?
All right, so Kristen, can you give us a little info on this one?
Sure. So this was there's a contract zoning agreement related to the Phase 2 development of Stillwater Pines off the end of Woodcock. And part of that agreement, when the council put that language together, was that they included a vision for potentially connecting the end of Woodcock out to Yarmouth Road. The property owner at the time, they did approach, I believe, to try to get an easement across that property to connect that out through, and that person was not interested at the time. Mr. Nevers, who's here tonight, did purchase that lot and is willing to work with the town to offer that easement. All this would reserve that easement. He's not willing to offer all the way to Yarmouth Road, but there's a potential to connect to Partridge Lane. So that would allow in the future, potentially, maybe, if the town wants to make that investment, and it would be a significant investment, that there'd be an opportunity to connect. So all you're being asked to do tonight is to basically reserve that opportunity for future councils, or yourselves if you're still here and don't implement term limits. But, it's just reserving it. So you're not talking tonight about building anything. The part of the contract zone that comes off of Woodcock to Mr. Nevers' property line is also a right-of-way. It's not built and is not going to be built, but it is reserved on that property. So this would reserve the connecting piece. So in the future, if someone wants to amend the DEP permit on the Stillwater Pines, probably fill some wetlands, do road construction across the whole thing, that would be a conversation at that time. At this time, the council is only being asked to accept the easement, and in exchange, he is asking for a driveway off of the hammerhead of Partridge, which is not typically allowed and is not something that the Public Works Director or Code Enforcement Officer would grant without your approval. It's been policy not to grant that, so they would be looking for your approval to do that in exchange. That would be kind of the horse trading for this easement, for that potential to possibly connect in the future.
We talked about this last year, right? If I remember correctly.
We talked about this in the spring with the previous town council.
That's what I thought.
And so it was something that they had supported.
Yes.
And so we've been working with Mr. Nevers for a while and finally able to bring it forward for approval after working through the legal aspects of it.
That's how I remember it as well.
Can I just, I could speak to the issue of the, potential road. So this is something that I think there's a lot of complaints about traffic in the village. And part of the village transformation project is that part of its goal and purpose is to bring some sanity to the intersections so that traffic can travel through there, with less risk to both cars and pedestrians. But in addition, we recognize that there are opportunities to create these ring roads to sort of bleed traffic off of the main routes into the intersections. So this particular one, our vision was that it could come from the subdivision off of Yarmouth Road all the way down to basically Route 100 south of Gray. I mean, where it would come in is to be determined, and it sounds like that may not be, possible. But I think I'm speaking up to defend the idea. I mean, it's nothing we have to decide on now. But as Gray continues to grow and the communities around us continue to grow and generate traffic that we don't control, it's just going to add more pressure to the village. And so I really would encourage us to approve this, because I think we should reserve the opportunity to do this in the future should we see fit. It costs us nothing, really.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree. I know we looked at this before, and we appreciate the opportunity, to give us the easement in trade for very little, in my opinion. Unless, Kristen, you have a different opinion. I mean, do you see any reason why, A, not to grant this, and if we do allow him to put in the driveway, is there going to be any real issues?
I think my understanding is that the policy has been not to allow driveways off a hammerhead due to past complaints about plowing, blocking people's driveways. There is, obviously, we've had a lot of conversations and awareness of how that's going to play out. There is language in the easement related to having an understanding that there may be a plowing impact. But I think our Public Works Director can speak to trying to do that in as least impactful a way as possible in that area. It is, to Ann's point, it is part of that bigger vision, that bigger planning for the town as a whole and its future, that it's a nice opportunity to reserve that option.
I would agree. Mr. Nevers, would you like to get up and say something? Because you're the one that's giving up your land for this, or potentially.
Sure, I'll take the opportunity. Ron Nevers, Gray. I'm willing and happy to grant this. I am a little dismayed at the process. I was told by 2 code officers you can't have a driveway off this hammerhead, and they said the process is you have to go to the town. They say, okay, we'll submit it to the Public Works. The Public Works has been commanded by the council to say no, regardless, and then you go before the council. That's just a little dicey to me. I live, a hammerhead is 300 feet from my window where I sit and watch TV till midnight every night, and so I know how long it takes to plow. I've been plowing all my life. It's never taken longer than 7 minutes this past year to plow that hammerhead, and there's a driveway off the end of it, which is the worst place. So I just think I think you need something in writing that says, and you don't have anything in writing. I've studied it, I've hired an attorney to study it, There's nothing in writing that says we do not allow off hammerheads. You have allowed them, but it almost seems like a pay for play. In this case, it's a horse trading kind of a thing, and I'm a horse trader, so I'm okay with it. I just want to say I think the council needs to, and this was probably on the last council. My comments are more to them, I think, because they're the ones who seem to set that precedent. I think you need something in writing that says either you can't or you can with provisions. I don't. That's my only thing was there's no real policy. There's an unwritten policy. That's just not. It just doesn't seem right, to me. And I think it should be something in writing. Although I'm happy to grant this. If you said no, I'll bring a driveway in the other way off Yarmouth Road. It might cost me $5-10 grand more, but the fact that I can go off a really nice dead end that was just paved, and it's going to be a 5-year, 6-7 year plan for my children. I'm building houses for my children on those lots there. So, like I said, I'm happy to do it. Kristen's been great to work with, very pleasant, very helpful. And the code office is great too. Tammy, George, they're just wonderful people. I'm thrilled with the code. And I'm very happy, I probably should have got before, I'm very happy with the town council. You guys seem like you have a lot of common sense, working man type mentality, and that's me. I'm a working guy, still at 64, trying to plug along so I don't die. So thank you.
Thank you,
All right,
Mr.
thanks a lot.
Yep.
Is that?
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
You guys have any questions down here?
I don't have a problem with it, as long as he's not gonna put in like a 40 unit subdivision.
600.
Yeah, so.
Vince?
Nope, I'm fine with it.
Ian? All right.
I don't have a problem with it.
Neither do I. So can we vote? All in favor? Thank you, Mr. Nevers. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Let's see. And Mr. Nevers, we will take your comments into consideration too as well. Thank you. I do appreciate that. I've noted it, or I will note it here in a second. So, all right. And let's see what was next. Okay, so now we're going to open back up for public comments, same as before, 3 minutes.
You wanna talk
I don't know if there's anybody online. Mr. Nevers, want to get back up again? So, are there any public comments online?
There's a couple people online. Give them a second to see if
Okay.
they want to raise their hand. Don't see it.
Okay, all right. So next, we're going to go into referrals. So we have a referral for the transfer station ad hoc committee. There is a form that is attached, and Ann, I would like, since you're the one that put in the referral, can you kind of explain what your thoughts were here? And well, first, do we have a motion to open up this referral?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Second.
Okay, and can you kind of present this and tell us what you're thinking?
Yeah, I think it's pretty self-explanatory, but I mean, it seems to me that the transfer station is something that almost all of us use and have some attachment to, and obviously Randy was a very much loved employee, but he said himself in his resignation letter that the town of Gray has grown since he was first hired, and the facility is on the verge of obsolete, or at least not quite meeting the needs. And there's an opportunity that's presented anytime there's a leadership change to think about what it is that we want in the future. Changes to the facility, changes to staffing, and there's also this extended producer liability law that is coming into effect. Remind me, Michael, it's in the next year or so?
It'll be into effect for 2026.
Yeah.
And we'll receive money through the program in fiscal year 27.
Right.
No, I'm sorry, fiscal year 28.
Yeah, okay. So
Fall of 2027.
we have an opportunity to participate in this. Basically, the extended producer liability law requires producers of packaging and things like that to, pay a fee, because instead of putting all the cost of disposing of it on communities. So it really makes a huge amount of sense. And my understanding is, and Michael's a much better expert on this than I am, but I did go to a training on it, is that if we sort our packaging well and sort of track it well, then Gray could get some payment for the waste that's generated. I mean, get, so like a repayment maybe, or a payment paid back from the producers, and the fund that's created by their, that they would all have to pay into. I've said that very inarticulately, but anyway, so long story short, I think that is something Gray should consider, really ought to participate in, because we could generate some revenue. And, but people aren't aware of that, and don't know how to, aren't aware that it's coming and what it will mean. So, we have used in the past in this town to good effect these ad hoc committees, which means sort of like not permanent committees that are set up with just a particular goal in mind. And we did it most recently, I think, for the ladder truck, which, was like $1 million cost for the town. And there was a lot of like discussion, like how, we hardly even have any tall buildings. I mean, why do we need a ladder truck? And so we the previous council put together this ad hoc committee to study it and make recommendations. In the end, they, after they heard a lot of, did some research and heard some testimony from different people, they ended up recommending that we do go ahead and buy the ladder truck, and I think that really helped to build confidence in the town that was the right decision. And so I'm just proposing that the committee include, from 5 to 7 members, depending on how many we can, encourage to apply, and that the application would be, their applications would come before the council, like we would approve them the way we do for our standing committees, and that we could bring in consultants as needed. But one of the things we've done in the past for these things is appoint, or is have sort of different categories of people that we think would be useful. So it'd be nice to have somebody who's really knowledgeable about recycling, somebody who's knowledgeable about solid waste, someone who's knowledgeable about traffic engineering, somebody who's knowledgeable about municipal or large-scale composting, which we don't currently do. Largely, we do some leaf composting, and then just some residents. So I just think that, I've talked about the timeline with Michael. I think that we were thinking in terms of like getting the applications out, or the notices out about the applications, this week if possible, and then having people get back to us within a 10-day or 2-week period with a goal of approving them and forming the committee at our November meeting, and then they would meet for, as needed for the next few months to address these specific questions.
Okay.
So that's kind of where I was coming from.
All right, thank you. I guess my initial thoughts is, I love the idea. I think 7's too many. You get too many people. I think 5 is the max that I like to have an odd number. I think 5 is the max. Again, just my opinion. It would be great if we could have people that have experience in this, but I don't think it's a necessity, as long as they're willing to. I do believe that we've got to look at EcoMaine. We've got to go to Cape Elizabeth. We've got to go to Cumberland. We've got to go to towns that are doing different things, that have changed stuff. We can, so I am definitely for a committee. I think 7's too many. I think 5 is the best thing to do. I think it would be great if we could have people that know about this stuff, but I don't think it's going to be mandatory that they do.
I agree with you. I think 5 would be a great number, and I'd also I would recommend that. I think if we have a council member, I think Ken would be the perfect council member to be the council member to lead this.
Yes, I would like to be on the committee, not the liaison.
Okay. Carrie?
I think 5 is a good number. You want to fight for that?
Well, I do have another problem with this. This is going to drag out for months, and the transfer station needs help ASAP. So I don't know how to speed this up a little bit, but it's something that we should be looking at without dragging it out till January.
Well, I understand what you're saying, but if we want to do this right, Ken, you can't do something that quickly. Now, we can have suggestions of what to do temporarily until then, but this is a huge project, honestly.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, so, listen, if we get a team together and that team can meet every day for the next 2 months and I'm all for that. I just want to set the expectation that I don't think January is enough time. But
really,
yeah, there's a lot of work that's going to have to go into this. I've talked to some towns already that have made changes, and it's a lot of work. So I mean, it's up to you guys, but I think we just need to. I think we need to make a motion tonight and do something. You know.
Well, and I think the timeline was in part to, put us in a position where by end of January, maybe into February, the committee's recommendations have been presented to the council, and that Michael knows, where we're leaning so that he can start incorporating anything that needs to go into the next year's budget. And so I agree with you. I mean, I think there could be, it depends. I hear you on your concerns about this dragging out forever, and I think nobody wants that. I just feel like there's been enough, sort of controversy about Randy's departure and kind of how the facility was operating, that I just think it would benefit from having some more people weigh in on this. And at that point, so I mean,
I think 5 is a good number.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with 5, okay. And I just think it would help us move forward through this change process with with more people, more voices on it, and sort of less finger pointing in the end, or more people to point fingers at.
I think we're all in the same agreement.
Right.
So can we have a motion to have?
Mr. Chair, may I ask a question?
Yeah.
So I understand you might change to 5 members. So do you envision? Does the council envision the first, obviously if you change the number, but the first 4 suggested positions, are those people that I should be seeking out to participate in this process? So like Eco Maine is representative from Eco Maine is willing to participate in the process, so they could be the person that is an expert in recycling and solid waste. They could accomplish both of those, and so we could have them participate. As far as traffic engineering, we could have our engineering consultant. One of the engineering firms we actually work with on the wastewater feasibility study actually participated in the design of the current transfer station facility. So we could bring them in, and they could, if they need to make drawing changes on traffic flow or layout or things, they could participate. So I just didn't know what you wanted to participate. So if I recruited those people to participate in the process, then that's 2 people, and then you'd have 3 residents, and that could be 5, and we could post the resident positions available. I didn't know if that's what you wanted to do. Otherwise, we would try to find residents that have those other experiences, and I don't know if those exist.
Right, and I don't know either. I mean, I think we could say that experience is preferred, but not
Yes.
Required. And I don't. I mean, I think it makes sense to have Eco Maine attend the meetings, or I mean, I don't know if they need to be one of the 5, because I do think it's important that there be residents on the committee.
And my only concern is that if they're gonna, I want them part of it, but I don't think they need, if they're a voting member of it, or however we want to say
that's
it,
the thing,
I think there's a conflict of interest.
Yeah.
That's what I'm concerned with.
So you want the 5 people to be residents?
We
Because it
prefer-
said 3 residents, so I didn't know if those people were separate. That's why I wanted to clarify.
Right, I wasn't clear about that. Yeah, in my mind, I was thinking about residents who had that expertise.
And then there's 3 other people,
And then 3
right?
other
Yeah.
people, right. But if we can get people with some expertise or some background, and we have tons of engineers and stuff in this town, and we might be able to get somebody in here, who knows?
Okay.
The other thing we're going to run into is that there are people that want to get involved with this. There are people that are just busy and don't want to get involved with this. If there's some way that we can put this out, I'd love to, if people are watching, I'd love to get input from people that may have expertise in this, at least to email us and email the town council.
Sure.
Thoughts and suggestions, because it's ultimately it's their town, and the more feedback we can get, the better decisions we can make.
It's a great idea.
Okay. So I think we're in agreement. We're going to have 5 people. Ken, you're going to head it
I
up?
wanna be on the
Okay.
committee, yes.
Did you say you want to be the liaison? Is that what you said?
Sure, I'll be the liaison.
Excellent. Awesome. And then, so we're going to find 4 more people, and we're going to put it out there. these are what we prefer, okay? Mike, it would be great if you can get EcoMaine to come in and sit with them during the meetings. It would also be great if you could, your person, is that person a resident, the traffic engineer, is he a resident? Or?
No.
But he could at least.
No, we can have them, but they're available. They've offered their services as
Absolutely.
available to
Perfect.
help.
Okay.
Because they knew we were going through this exercise.
Okay. Yep.
They can be like a consultant?
Yep, absolutely.
So do you, when you make the amendment, you want us to revise this to just say 5 members with expertise in the categories below?
Yeah, and well.
And you want them all to be residents?
Yeah, all the.
Or so 4, we
Yeah,
only
and
need
then,
4.
Yeah, just need 4 more. Yep.
Understood.
And then Charity the liaison.
Okay.
Are we all okay with that?
We'll make sure we
All
communicate
right.
that.
Excellent.
And if you don't need to make a motion, if everyone's okay with.
Everyone's okay with that, right? All right, awesome. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate this.
But you do need everyone to vote.
Need to vote,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay, that's-
Not to motion to amend. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
so are we all in favor? Great. And let's see here. So we've got the current council referrals, we've got the comprehensive plan rezoning, the create the water quality shoreline ordinance, the pop-up business ordinance, the updated public safety ordinance, and the village transformation project. Those are all included as referred to the town council for workshop review. These items are included on the agenda for reference only. The upcoming meetings we have, town council meeting November 18th, 2025 at 7 p.m. Another one December 2nd at 7 p.m. Before we adjourn, I just want to say thank you to the town council. At least we can say this is probably one of the most productive and well-respected meetings that we've had so far, and I really appreciate it. Yes, Mike.
I just wanted to mention the upcoming meetings. On both those nights, we'll have workshops prior at 5:30. One, on the 18th, the Resiliency Committee will be back to talk about the Great Water Quality Shoreland Ordinance referral. And then on the December 2nd, the town's auditing firm will be here to present the fiscal year 24 audit as part of our audit catch-up procedures.
Before we're done, can we go over and just talk a little bit about, I just want to kind of get my head around the town rebranding project. Is that something we can talk about?
Yeah, if you want to bring it up.
Yeah. I just trying to get my arms around it, like what the goal is, what the cost is, just a little.
I didn't bring all the information
okay, then
today,
we can talk about it next meeting.
I know enough about it. I can explain a little bit. The Economic Development Department had budgeted for that as part of last year's budget, and those funds are authorized as part of TIF funds. They were authorized as part of last year's budget, and those TIF funds continue to be authorized as long as they've been authorized. And so that's part of an economic development activity to help develop a brand for the town, to help us better to promote the town. It's the project, the recent award is approximately $10,000 to work with a design firm as part using the resources from the village tax increment financing district. And they'll be going through an exercise where they'll receive public comment and the public will be able to participate in helping to rebrand the town for the future, and the company will bring some ideas to the town to consider for the future. It's a similar exercise that the town of Yarmouth went through a number of years ago, the city of South Portland, the city of Portland, and they actually used this, the firm, Portland Design Company that we worked with.
So is it the 10 grand just to come up with the ideas, or is it 10 grand to implement everything? Like,
it's a 10 grand to do the whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
If
As far as like implementation, there'll be a brand established, and we'll incorporate that brand in our website and our letterheads and in all our different things to be able to continue to have a consistent brand across the town.
So question, like when we do letterhead and envelopes and with all the brand, is that TIF money or is that not TIF money?
It's all stuff that we would just update electronically.
Okay.
If we had like old stock of envelopes and stuff like that, we would use up those until we had needed to purchase new ones on a regular basis.
Okay. Good enough for now.
All right, thank you. All right, anything else? All right, meeting adjourned. Thank you, guys. Have a great night.
Thanks.
All right, thank you, guys.
Night.